Hello guys, welcome to this tutorial with me once again. In this video I'll be showing you how you can create this light effect in CorelDraw. A few simple steps that I'll be showing you to do this by yourself. So without having to waste much of your time, let's get started. So the first thing I like to do is I go to File and click on New, right? So for this one I'm going to use the primary, I'm just going to the name, I'm going to use the lighting effect, just like this, and my primary color mode stays as RGB, and I'm just going to change this to inches, and I'm going to leave it at a 4 by 5. So the width is 4 and the height is 5, right? Resolution stays at 300. Everything else stays the same. So having done all of this, I'll just click OK. Right, so we're inside of our CorelDraw workspace, right? And again, I'll also mention that if you don't have the CorelDraw software, please kindly use the description, the link in the description of this video to get it from the Telegram group. You can just click on it, it takes you to the group where you have all of these softwares for you to download for free. Alright, so guys, let's get straight to the point, right? So the first thing I'll do here is, as usual, I would like to double click on this part to create a replica of the rectangle inside of this rectangle that CorelDraw has already drafted for us, right? So the next thing I would like to do is I will head over to where I have my rectangle tool and actually create the first element of this design, which is the rectangles. So what I want to do is I want to make it this length, right? Just drag and draw. So I have it at this point, right? So what I want to do is I want to apply a skew effect to it. So what I just do is click on this rectangle itself and slightly drag it up like this to this part. So I'll slightly drag it up to this part like this. So when I finish doing that, I would like to have several copies of this rectangle. So what do? Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Move this downwards like this, leaving little significant spaces in between the two rectangles, right? So I'm going to duplicate this again, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and actually going to move this down a bit. So if you can watch now, I have tried and I've made sure that the spaces in between these rectangles are similar. You don't have too many things going around there, right? So the next thing I want to do is I would like to fill it with a color. So what I will do is I'll come over to where I have this yellow color. I'll just click on it, and having done that, I'll just click Ctrl arrow on this to repeat the colors that I've applied to the rectangles. So instead of doing this, clicking the yellow, clicking on it, clicking yellow, I'll just press Ctrl arrow to repeat what I have done, right? So CorelDraw is actually a very flexible software. So you can actually, there are a whole lot of shortcuts you can do to actually make your work faster and easier, right? So having done this, I would highlight all of them with, of course, my selection tool. Select my selection tool and highlight all of them like this. Having done that, what I'll do is I'll right click here to remove the outline, guys. We don't want any outline in any of this. So on the background, which is this one that we created, I'll give it a color black, just like this, right? So that is step 1. Step 2, now the next step I want to do is I would like to make a duplicate copy of these three things all together. So what I'll do is Ctrl C and Ctrl V. But before I do that, I'll select the three of them and I'll actually click on this to weld them all together. So now what this does is it actually combines all of them together. As you can see now, it's one shape. The three of them are just one together. So I welded all of them together. I'll do that again. So select this, holding down Shift, and click on Weld to weld them together. But before I do that, having selected this, what I'll do is I'll go to, now the next thing I'll do is I would want to create a light effect out of this, right? So first thing I'll do is I'll go to Effect, and I'll go to Blur, and I'll go to Gaussian Blur. Now in the Gaussian Blur, I will make sure my value here doesn't exceed let's say 3.0, right? 3.0 is good, right? So you can just clean this part and manually put your 3.0 there like this. right? And make sure this preview is turned on so that you can actually see. As you can see, I turned it off, so I cannot see how the effect is actually affecting the shapes I have here. So just turn on the preview and this is what you get, right? So you can see the edges have been blurred out, right? So this is what I want to achieve. I haven't done this, I'll just click OK, right? F4 to centralize, fit to page. And the next thing I'll do is I'm clicking on it again. I'll make a duplicate copy of this, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. I'll go to effects and I'm going to go to blur and Gaussian blur. But this time you can drag it all down to this part here like this. But this time, instead of making it this color, what I want to make it is I would increase the radius. So instead of leaving at 3.0 like I did with the first one, what I'll do is I would actually bump this up to somewhere around this part here. Okay, so let's just leave it at 45, right? And I'll click OK. So the next thing I'll do is I'll come to transparency and change the blend mode from normal to what? You guessed right, screen. Good. You can either use screen or vivid light, but in most cases I love using screen aspect. So the next thing I want to do is I would like to bring in the next element of my design, which is this picture right here, right? So I will drag it inside. For most of you that cannot drag inside like what you just need to do is go over to file and click on what? Import, right? You guessed right. So having brought this inside, what I would like to do is first and foremost I'll go to effect and go to adjust and go to image adjustment lab, guys. Now here what I'll need to do is let me click on reset, right? I'll just need to turn down this saturation to -100. I don't need any saturation on it, so I'll set it to -100. And having done this, what I just need to do is just click OK, right? So I'm going to then go to transparency and change my blend mode to what? Overlay, just like this, right? But I'm going to click on uniform transparency just so I have that uniform feel applied to it. So having done this, as you can see now, it's nicely blending in with what I have currently inside of this design itself. So what I want to do is I want to make it smaller, so my design itself can accommodate what I have on it, right? So when I have it at this point, this is what I set out to achieve. Just make sure when you try increasing, it doesn't come out of the canvas like this. You're putting it inside. So always reduce or adjust from where you got it right. The edges like this, right? So I'll just position this well to stay here and fit here perfectly, right? So guys, the next thing I would like to do is I would like to bring in the image of the model I'm going to use for this design. So I'm just going to drag and drop inside like this. Remember, we've created the first stage of the lighting effect. Now we want to create the second one. So I'll just reduce the size to manually fit the canvas that I've put it inside, and I think somewhere around here is a nice place that I want it to be. But there are a few things I need to do to modify this image to suit what I want to do. So the first thing I would like to do is go over to my shape tool, and I'm just going to highlight the bottom part of this image like this. Highlight the bottom part like this, and I'm going to drag up just like this until I get to this point where I have the edges here like this. So this is what I'm going to be working with. So I don't want the other parts of it actually showing, right? So this is my save point, right? So having done this, the next thing I want to do is I would like to blend, because I don't want sharp edges here, right? So I want to blend this image to the background itself. So I'll go over to my transparency tool. Yes, you guessed right. So go to my transparency tool, selecting the image. Make sure you are selecting the image, right? So I'm selecting the image. I'll go over to my transparency tool. Then I'm going to hold down the shift, and I'm just going to drag from white to black like this. Remember what I said in my previous video, guys. Black conceals and white reveals. So I have it this way. So this is how I'm going to leave this, right? So I'm just going to position this well and move it in place like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Bitmap and convert to Bitmap. Everything stays the same, resolution 300, and everything stays the same. I'm going to click OK like this, right? So I haven't done this. I'm going to repeat the same step twice, convert to Bitmap like this, right? So I haven't done this. I'm going to go to Bitmap, effects, adjust, and image adjustment lab, guys, right? So with this, what I'm going to do is, of course, because I've used it before, that's why it's turned into a black and white image. We don't want that. So I'm just going to click the reset button to reset all the values to as it was before by default. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to bump down the saturation a bit. I think minus 15 actually works for me. So I'm just going to impute minus 15 like this, and I'm going to click what? Okay. So this is what I get from the minus 15. So the next thing I'll be doing is I'll still go to effect, and I'm going to go to adjust, and I'm going to go to adjustment, and I'm going to go to color balance, right? So in my color balance here, I'm going to revert all of this, reset. So what I'm going to be working on is basically the yellow slider. So I'm just going to drag. If you look at this part, you have yellow and blue. When you take it to this part, you're adding blue to it, and when you bring it to this part, like we should do here in this video, we are adding yellow effect to it. So this is what we actually want to get out of this image. So I'm just going to turn this down to what? Minus 100. So you set your values to minus 100, right? Having all of this, and make sure your preview is always turned on so you can actually see what you're doing in real time, right? So having done this, I'm just going to click OK like this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to effects, and I'm going to go to adjustments, and I'm going to go to image adjustment lab, guys. So here I'm just going to increase the temperature to, I'm just going to drag the slider down until the temperature aligns to what I have. I'm just going to drag it to the orange side of the temperature we have here, right? So having done this, I'm just going to click OK. So as you can see now, the image is blending with the light effect that I have at the background, but then we still have to create one last thing, the light itself on the image of the model itself, right? So how do we do this? Very, very good. Now come over to where you have your freehand tools. Under your freehand tool, you can just click and hold to see all of the tools you have inside of the freehand tool. So the tool we're going to be working with here is the B-spline tool. It's called the B-spline tool, right? In previous lessons, we've worked with the pen tool, and we've also worked with the Bezier tool, but now in this one, we're going to be working with the B-spline tool, right? So I'm just going to select it, and what we're going to do now is we're going to trace the lights where we want the light to hit actually on this model's body face, like this, on this model's face. So I'm just going to start by tracing from this down region. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create points here, just like this, right? I'm just going to create points, goes around the ear like this, and like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. You can take your time to actually do it, like this, like this. And I'm just going to do part 1 and part 2. So I'm just going to call this back inside with these areas highlighted, just like this, right? Just keep dragging, and it creates freehand curves by itself, right? So when I see this point that shows this arrow, you can see this arrow, right? This is the arrow. So I'll just click there, and it closes up the line. So having done this, I'll just come over to my color, and I'm going to give it a yellow color. Now if you don't close that point, you would not be able to fill it with color like I have done with mine right now. So make sure that you see that arrow before you close it up, just the way I did mine. Now having done this, you can see it has an outline, so I want to get rid of the outline. It's making it look weird, and I don't want that. So I'll get rid of the outline by right clicking on this part, just like this. Now the next step to do with this theme selected is I'm going to go to my effects, blur, and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur, right? So this Gaussian blur, as you can see now, it's coming to life. So what I want to do is I wouldn't want the effect to be too much, so I'm just going to leave it around 20. right? So I'm just going to set it to 20 and I'm going to press OK with my preview turned on. That's why I can actually see the effect of what I am trying to create in real time, right? So having done this, I'm just going to click on what? OK. So I'm going to repeat the same step I did here on this part too. So I'll just go over to my B-spline tool and I'm just going to repeat the same process over here. You can take your time and so I'm just going to drag up and continue what I'm doing, right? Just like this, and I'm going to bring it down inside here like this and trace out the light effects. Come down. I'm going to continue the same way, just like this, and I'm going to finish up like this. You can see now it has brought out that arrow again, so I'm just going to click and end it there. So I'm just going to come here and give it this yellow color like this, and I'm going to remove the outline to the same way, right? So having done this, with it still selected, I'll go to effect and go to blur and go to Gaussian blur. So because the figure I used before is still there, you should still have it in yours like this. So I'll just leave it at what? 20, just like this. So what I'll do is I'll select this one and select the two of them, right? Just like this. And I'm going to click on transparency and I'm going to set the blend mode to what? Screen, guys. Set it to screen. Now if you feel that the effect you've created is not really enough, you can Ctrl C and Ctrl V to make a duplicate copy to make intensify the light effect, but then I'm not going to do it for this. I think I'm okay with what I have here. If by any means you need to adjust the lights around him, like the first one and second one, you can just go there and go and click on the shape tool and adjust the light areas on him just like this. Very, very simple and very, very flexible, right? So you can adjust layers. For instance, if you need to take this part, if you need to extend it, you can just drag this point here like this, and you can see the light is just reflecting on him nicely. I'll do it the same way with these two, so I don't want this too much. I will take this inside and also take this inside too. You can see how this is forming pretty well on this model we have. Okay guys, so having done all of this, we are almost at the end of our tutorial, right? So what I want to do is I would like to create a light effect inside, because the way it is now, it is not complete. I must add depth to what I'm actually creating. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my ellipse tool. I'm going to draw an ellipse. Just click, hold down, make sure you hold down your control, because when you don't hold down your control, this is what you get, right? So hold down your control and draw this out like this, right? So having done this, what we need to do is, of course, you know, I'll come over to where I have my color. I'm going to give it yellow, remove the outline like this. So having done this, what I want to do is I'll go to effect and I'm going to go to blur and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur, right? So I'm just going to bump up this value somewhat like this. This point, I think I'm good with this. But what the thing I'll be doing with this is make sure this blend mode is set to what? Screen, right? So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to be power clipping it inside of this black area, right? So how do I do that? Like we've done in the previous videos. If you've not watched my previous videos where I had this kind of effect added to it, it's good practice. Please watch those videos, and so you can actually understand how we create our light effect. Now to complete this whole process, what I'll do is with this selected, I'm going to right click and I'm going to click on what? Power clip, and I'm going to select. Make sure when you are selecting, you don't select anything close to this point. Make sure you are selecting a safe point, which is this part. So as you can see now, I've selected a safe point and that's put it inside, but we're not seeing it, right? So what we need to do is double click on the rectangle and voila, this is it. It's inside here, right? So we'll just press P on the page to take it to the center of the page, and manually I'm going to take it up and I'm just going to increase the size like this, right? So it's somewhere around his face, not far from his face. We don't want something like this, it will be too big, right? Something like this is okay. So having done this, you just click on finish, and let's see, this is the effect it creates. So as you can see now, with the way I even have mine now, it's even still big. So I want to reduce it, so I'll just double click on the rectangle, and I would want to reduce this a bit, just like this. And let's click on finish. Let's see what we have. Perfect. So this is what I actually want to achieve from this, right? So with this done, the next thing I want to do, the next and probably the last thing we'll be doing, is to add the effect, the last effect that I added to mine. So what you do is go to the resource file and click on this black background, right? And I'm just going to drag and drop inside here like this. So having done this, I'm just going to position it anywhere I want to. What I'll just do is I'm just going to click on transparency, click on this first one, uniform transparency, and I'm going to change the blend mode to what? You guessed right, screen. So this is what you have when you set it to screen, right? You can see the nice effect that this has created, but we don't want it all over the image of our model, right? We want it inside the background. So what do? I'll move this aside, right click and click on what? Power clip inside, and click on where? A save spot. So I'll just click on this black part, and boom, it goes inside like this, right? So I'll just go inside and adjust it like just like this, and I'm going to click on transparency. I want to reduce because it's kind of it's too much already, so I'll just reduce it. So I'm just going to increase the screen to like 70, just like this, and when I'm done, I'm going to click on what? Finish, just like this. And guys, this is how you create this nice looking lighting effect in CorelDraw. Okay guys, if you've enjoyed this tutorial, please kindly don't forget to like this video first, hit the subscribe button so you will see more of my videos, and don't forget to turn on the post notifications. Remember guys, I love you all. Thank you once again for your support. Thank you for your love. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.